Hey guys, we are live with another ECL, and this one is being pre-recorded because we just couldn't get our schedule. So we're doing it a little bit earlier in the week, but we still want to see your comments. So if there's any comments throughout, any questions that you've got, we can come back to them afterwards as well. So just want to put that out there. But first and foremost, Brendan, how we doing, mate? How's life treating you?
Everything's good, thanks, Steve. Yeah, just soaking it up day by day.
Good stuff.
What about you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. It's busy at the moment, in a good way. Really can't complain. But smashing some big projects at the moment. Which it's one of those. You look at the clock, say, oh, it's 9:30, and then you look up and go, it's 3:30. Where on earth has that gone? But in a good way, if that makes sense. So yeah, really enjoying it at the moment. So all good. Cheers, mate. Good. So guys, let's jump straight into it. As you can see on the screen, we're going to get into a subject that myself and Brendan are really passionate about. And actually, I think it's something that has definitely formed me as a coach. And I've heard Brendan talk about the importance of that. And we're going to sort of get stuck straight into the nitty gritty of training. And today we're going to be talking specifically about youth athletes. You know, the key to training youth athletes, because it's a big topic at the moment, because, obesity rates are going up. Specialization is a big topic in the area of youth training. But on the flip side, I think youth training is a massive growth area within the industry at the moment. We're seeing some absolutely incredible practitioners out there doing some wonderful things, and really picking up on Youth Coach of the Year award in 2021 by Nick Ward, really laying down some real good groundworks and setting out some good lessons and stuff. So obviously, Brendan, you've worked with many a youth athlete. I mean, you're talking into like probably four figures, aren't you, really, by the time you've worked in the academies and stuff. It's scary to think that, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
But I mean, let's dig into that. Like, what would you say is the key to training youth athletes then? What is the sort of the key thing that coaches need to be aware of when working with youth athletes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a big part of my background, and I really do get a lot of fulfillment personally from working with young people. And I've told this story before, but I started working with a couple of very talented tennis players when they were 7 and 9, the sisters. And now I went to one of their 21st birthdays.
You didn't feel old at all, did you, mate? Didn't feel old at all.
I felt like a granddad. I'm telling you that. And they're now property developers. They're not tennis players, but they are extremely good tennis players, and that's cool. That's really cool. And they've got brilliant training habits and understanding of their own movement patterns and what they can and can't do, and so on and so forth. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. And similarly, I've trained other athletes, badminton players, and so on and so forth, bumped into them as adults, having started to work with them when they were 12, 14, what have you. And they're now not necessarily professional athletes. They might have gone, some of them have been to the Olympics, and now they're doing their own jobs, they're working elsewhere, and so on and so forth. And you can see in the gym when they move, the habits are still there, the qualities are still there, and it's so satisfying as a coach to see that. And that's what you're trying to achieve here with young people. It really is cool. It's very fulfilling, and it's not about youth athletes. And I think that's the first thing here. The key to training youth athletes is probably more about how do we work with young people and how do we excite them. And that's why there's no surprises here when on our youth coaching pathway from assistant. So we have a youth strength and conditioning coach, the Youth Strength and Conditioning Association, and from assistant coach to youth strength and conditioning specialist. The thread that runs through that is not about peak height velocity, maturation rates, volume doses, and so on and so forth. Sure, you're getting all of that. It's actually the thread that runs through that is how to excite, engage, and enable these young people, the Triple E coaching methodology. And you mentioned Nick there, he won our award this year. He is the originator of the Triple E coaching methodology, and he's a world-class, world-leading youth practitioner. And prior to that, in 2020, it was Ben Haining that won our Youth Coach of the Year. And Ben founded the Youth Strength and Conditioning Association with me. And again, those two guys are still working with young people every single day. I actually spoke to Ben this morning, and he had to ring off because he had some kids coming into the gym for him to coach. And that's brilliant. You know, I don't get the call. I get called off, Steve. It's like, I got to go. The kids are here. I need to coach. Brilliant. Love that. Yeah. But to your point, the key to training young athletes for me is your ability as a coach to connect with that person, that young person, and inspire them and empower them to achieve anything they want. And the beauty, I think, of being a strength coach or a fitness coach for young people is if you think about where you sit in that kind of support bubble. It could be that you're working with a young golfer. It could be that you're working with a rugby team. It could be you're doing an athletic squad warm-up. It doesn't matter. Where you sit as a fitness person in that bubble, that support team, is very, very privileged, and it's unique in that often you find that people confide more in the fitness coach and the strength and conditioning coach than they do in the technical coach, because they're trying to get picked for the team, or they're trying to, fit in. And actually, you become more than sets and reps. We've said it before, haven't we? It's not about the sets and reps. You become more of a leader to them from a different angle than, say, the tennis coach would or the triathlon coach would. And that gives us a really, really profound opportunity that I think more and more coaches should bring into their business, should bring into their toolbox, because the opportunity to develop young people has never been bigger than it is today, Steve.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think there's one word there that I think we can never ever take for granted is it is a privilege, and with privilege, like obviously you've got that responsibility there. I think we sort of get so blinkered about what is happening, the tactics, and I think for me the key to training youth athletes is being able to come out and almost take like a helicopter view and think, right, what I do today is going to impact what's going to happen 10 years down the line. So teaching great movement and empowering and giving a child confidence on being able to do a good squat, to do a great lunge. And that's great for you because you know that you're developing skills, but in 10, 15 years time, that child that you are working with, they might not win the under 15s county championships, but they're going to be able to walk into a gym as an adult and know that they'll do squats. It's okay to do barbell stuff. It's okay to do heavy strength work for health and development. They're not going to do mindless training. That's a really cool thing. Yeah. But it is a privilege. And we hear so many horror stories, especially in certain sports and what have you, about burning kids out and kids going on and just falling out of love and breaking down. I think that's where we've got to look at it and put a lot of value on training youth athletes and say it's not just what happens in the gym, because what happens there has a far greater effect. It's a big old ripple effect that you're having. And I think coaches would do well to stay mindful of that, of everything that you do with a youth athlete has a big impact later in life. Absolutely massive,
Oh, massive. And I think one other thing that I would say here is, in terms of like the keys, if you want to call it that, is commitment to that group, individual. It's always an important quality that you could say that it's key for any individual, but I think particularly for young people, stability and consistency is really, really relevant for those people to and you're getting results over time with them. It may and program design is relevant here because when you look at it in that way and you're thinking about it over months, years, and even 4, 5, 6, 10 years, your approach can be quite adaptable in that if you want to play Twister with a load of cones in the gym, you can. If you want to rip up the program and play and go outside and do an outdoor session instead of an indoor session, you can. If you want to do some stupid stuff to motivate them and play tag and game-based stuff for 20 minutes out of your 30-minute session because the session needs it, you can. The pressure is there normally when you think, I need results now. It's not about that, especially with young people. It's about long-term buy-in and engagement into them as a person. Yeah. And that's how, when you look in 10 years' time and you see somebody doing the best front squat in the entire David Lloyd Centre, that's what results from it. It's not do they make that tournament and win first, second, or third? Irrelevant. So I do think the key to training athletes, as well as the excite, engage, enable, is the ability to take a telescopic viewpoint and commit for the long term.
Yeah.
And you will get a lot more out of it in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see it, and I think once you make that commitment, you see it unfold in different areas of life. I mean, the amount of times that I've got messages and letters from parents, and one of those messages, and you probably had it many times yourself, Brendan, when you read it and a bit of dust gets in your eye, doesn't it? And you get hay fever and it's like snowing outside kind of thing. You're reading it and you get messages from teachers saying, oh, I just wanted to say, you can tell so-and-so's doing some great stuff in the gym because they're transferring that into the schoolwork. And you're like, that just goes so far beyond, or is it technically a good squat? Is it a great lunge? Are they the fastest on this? Are they fast? It's like, no, this is where we're making a great impact. And I think the S&C coaches and performance coaches and trainers and stuff, I think we need to really start focusing on those areas, because it is such a mad world at the moment where you see kids are losing their identity and they don't really know what they need. And going back to what you were saying, Brendan, about they need structure, and they need, not in terms of do this, but they need to know they've got someone they can rely on, stability and structure, which allows them to flourish in a really positive way. Take the lessons from training in sport and transfer that into life. And you're the conduit for that. You're the person who's taken their physical literacy and the lessons from sport, the winning, the losing, the hardships, the downside. You're the person that then can take that, craft it into a really powerful message, which then takes it into life, which is ultimately what you're trying to do, So a massive thing. And I think anybody who's out there working with youth athletes, keep up the great work. And anybody who's thinking about it, it's probably one of the most rewarding, challenging, but rewarding types of coaching I can certainly think of, because you'll take so much from it. I mean, I've grown as a coach, and in the next 2 weeks, I've got 10 athletes, 10 going for England qualification as part of the kettlebell national team. Great. It was 4 or 5 years ago I had one, and it's grown into something really powerful. But I've grown as a coach from that, took so much from it. So a really powerful.
I think the other thing would be that times have changed as well. And when I first went to the States as a 22, 23-year-old, went to work with Mike Boyle over there, the gym, over the course of a week, I'd say Mike's gym had probably hundreds and hundreds of people in, maybe 400 or 500 people. And out of those people, 90% of them were children. and adolescents, so under the age of 18. And it was fantastic. The energy, the buy-in, the fun they were having was brilliant, and the coaches as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back to the UK and sort of started my own company doing that, funnily enough, I found one of my kids actually opened a book. We've got like this bookshelves on the landing, and they opened one of my books. I haven't seen this book for ages, and my business card fell out of that book, and it was that business that I started then, Dynamic Athletics.
Yeah.
And the slogan was strength and conditioning to accelerate your development. Yeah. So we've evolved, but the awareness wasn't there in the UK at that time. So parents weren't saying, I've got a really, my son really or daughter really likes golf. Let's get them to see a personal trainer. That just wasn't there. It was just golf, golf, golf. Let's just go crazy for golf. And absolutely over the last 15 years, that has evolved. And I can tell you that because I was the strength and conditioning coach for England Golf.
Mm.
And the youth players were all being shaped in that way to get into strength and conditioning and fitness. And we were doing community camps, and people were tapping into that, and the parents were attending. Same with team sports, rugby, football. Back in the day, even things like rugby for children, it wasn't, the awareness wasn't there to say, let's get my kid in the gym, or let's help them fitness wise. Now it is. It absolutely is. So much so that you can make a business from youth strength and conditioning, youth fitness. And on our courses, everybody listening probably knows this, but we always have business. We always have, it's one of our 3 pillars, career and business development. How do you create the impact that you want to have from any of our courses, be it level 4, youth, mentorship, what have you? The youth courses we have all have, this is how to apply what you've learned as a business, as a career. How do you approach tennis clubs? How do you approach rugby clubs? How do you work one-on-one? What do you need to do? And that is absolutely critical when it comes to, if you're motivated by impact and working and serving your community and building something that you're proud of, you need to know how to go out there and make money from this and get people to pay you. And we cannot avoid that conversation, guys. We have to have that conversation. How do you make the impact you want to make? You've got to be able to get your programs out there. And that's why we show it to you right from the assistant level all the way up to specialist in the youth pathway, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, guys, this weekend, we have got, just within the theme of youth training, we've got a great CPD offer. One of our video bundles with the SCE Youth Coach of the Award 2021 with Nick Ward. Nick does an absolute fantastic way of bringing the technical aspect to life and how to apply it with kids and young people all the time. So if you are thinking about, right, I want to get stuck into youth training, or I want to start dipping my toe, or it's something that I'm really passionate about, I just don't know where to start, that bundle is an absolute fantastic place to start. Okay, so keep an eye on the emails, keep an eye out for the links in the comment section, because it's some fantastic, it's a fantastic resource there. And also, if you do want to dig in deeper and you really want to stand yourself apart and get into, jump both feet in, right, I want to be a practitioner that is going to be helping young people, then I would really recommend jumping onto our full youth pathway as well. And there is an offer running on the youth pathway throughout February. So if you want to speak to one of the team, they'll be able to get that sorted for you as well. But it's not just about, okay, this is what a good squat likes for a young person. This is what the brace, roll, rotate, horizontal plane, all that. It's in there. But like I say, it's crafting your inspirational message. It's building a really successful program which allows you to build a really successful business. The better your business, the greater your impact. The greater your impact, you're serving more people. And ultimately, if you can be in 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and you can turn around, like Brendan's in a privileged position to say, yeah, I made a positive impact on thousands of youth athletes. How cool is that? That is a really, really powerful thing, knowing that you've had a really positive impact. And especially when you walk into the David Lloyd and they're out squatting you and you're thinking, that's great. Damn.
No, they make me feel weak and like a beginner myself, which is kind of what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. His ego took a hit that day, but he was like, yeah, but I taught her how to squat. So I'm happy with that. We're all winning here. So guys, do check out that.
The only final point I'd say on that, and I don't want to end this element on anything like a low, but it's really important to have specialist knowledge with young people. Well, any specialist population, let's call youth athletes specialist populations. And from an insurance perspective, that's really relevant. So I know that our youth pathway is the only pathway in the country that gives you the ability to work and get insurance for that, for young people. And if you think about it, not always what is said with insurance is you're insured to coach the things that you've been taught. That's the way it's always worded. It's cleverly worded because it gives them an out later if something happens. And I hate to say it, but if something happens and somebody gets injured and you're doing something that you haven't been qualified to do, you've got a bit of a battle on your hands potentially.
Yeah.
And even though you might be using squats with young people that you've learned, say on the level 4, for example, it's the application of the modality. It's the application of the training with a specialist population that you just need to make sure you have got that sorted. And that's why with our youth pathway, we call it coach with confidence. You can coach with confidence because it's registered through our insurance partner, Baylands. They recognize that. And I don't think I'm sure the worst will never happen, but you must have the ability. If you can't coach with confidence, you can't coach.
Yeah.
In my eyes. So, it's one of those things that probably many people in this country are treading on a fine line, if I'm being brutally honest, that I would rather not tread on. I'd rather have the confidence to know I can deliver this stuff. It's applicable. I'm qualified. I'm insured. Let's go and make some really transformational things happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that coaching with confidence is key. And that's why we set up the courses the way we do, right? And it's making sure that no stone is unturned, and that's why the business stuff is in there and all of the support that you need to be able to set up really great programs, which kind of leads us in really, really well to our next bit. And it's a key thing with this. And we've talked about this before, and I nicked this quote from Johan Cruyff. You might have heard about him. He's a fantastic footballer and just an amazing person, but it's so important. And that coaching with confidence leads into this really, really well. So it's like learn to coach yourself before coaching others. Well, what does that mean? It's not saying, right, stop coaching until you've coached yourself. It's more about where are you going to get the confidence in your programs? So a big thing for me is understanding the process that you're going to be taking somebody through, understanding the journey that somebody's going to be working through, because you can see right through somebody who isn't confident, and confidence sells. If you are confident and you believe in your program, you believe in your training, you'll get results because people will buy into that. And we've discussed it many times, is to get the best results out of training, it's got to have a level intent, and somebody's got to really commit to the training process. Now, if you don't really believe in your program, or you've never tested it, or you've never tried some of the tools for yourself, and you don't know if they work, are you going to be 100% confident that this will work? If you've read it in a textbook, it's like, okay, yeah, this is what they all do. But if you've never followed that, or if you've never tried it, how are you going to get the confidence? And I think that's a big, big thing there. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Brendan. I don't know if you agree or disagree there, mate.
Yeah, look, you are your first client, whoever you are, whatever your stage you're at, you are your first client ultimately. And why not get the best result possible with your first client?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot there, Steve. And if it always worries me when an aspiring coach says, do I need to be able to do this, or so on and so forth. And I find, like, when you look at, it's interesting, I'm in a slightly more mature position than you, in that I'm a little bit older, and I don't say that I hate the kind of patronizing that you get from, but what my point is that I can look at those people that say when they were in their low 20s, mid 20s, that are now late 30s, early 40s, and you can see the people that haven't trained, they're not really top coaches. They might be top scientists, Steve. They might be really bright. They may or may not still be in the industry, but the people that haven't sort of put themselves through it, the gap widens as you stay in the industry. And why would you want that to happen? Why don't you get in there and make it happen? The other side to this is, from a mental perspective, from a psychological perspective, what is your base point? What's your reference point? Who are you as a person? And how do you like to both be coached, and how do you default to as a coach? So that's really relevant, because we're all different, aren't we? And sending messages out that you would like to hear as an athlete, as a trainee, if you don't have the reference point of, this is the type of messages that I like to send and like to receive, but this person over here, they're not like me at all. They are a different person, and so they need different messages. So the first thing here is understanding yourself as both a trainee and a coach, and as a person, to say, my default is to stand at the back of the gym, arms folded, barking orders. And my clients that I've had in the past maybe respond well, but also down the line, there's going to be a group or a client that is not the right approach for them, and you need to adapt it. So the first phase in coaching for me is, what is your reference point? Who are you as a person? And where are your defaults? Where do you go to as communication and message sending? And what do you think other people like? That's a fascinating development, isn't it, as a coach, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so crucial to understand what is that default, what currently makes you tick, because you're always going to go there, right? You'll always go back to it, but it's having that awareness of, like you say, being able to adapt and say, not everybody's going to like this approach. But also, I think it's understand what's being true to yourself, understanding your values, what makes you tick, because ultimately what makes a lot of trainers and coaches unhappy is they find themselves working with a specific demographic that they don't get a lot of enjoyment from. They just kind of fell into it. And we said it many times. I mean, you say all the time, coaching is a calling, right? So if we're looking at it in that way, why would you want to do something that doesn't excite you? Doesn't you don't wake up in the morning and go, I can't wait to coach this group of people. You're waking up and going, oh man, I've got so-and-so in today. that's like such a waste of a powerful industry that we're in. So first and foremost, you need to have an understanding of what do you enjoy, what are your values, what makes you unique.
Yeah.
So then you can share that message, right?
Yeah, and the other thing here is, and it's something that to be honest, we've probably all fallen down this trap, but there is no one size fits all. There is no this is the model for coaching. You should be. I think maybe there is an understanding or a misconception that you should be the guy or the girl that's, yeah, this is how we're doing it. We're going to go like this. And that's nothing could be further from the truth. Any person with any makeup can be a coach.
Yeah.
You need the calling to be the coach. Once you've been called, you make up the recipe and you already have the ingredients. But I do believe it's a misconception that it has to be done this way. This is the recipe. This is the recipe. That's not the case at all. But you need to know yourself well enough to understand how you are coming across and how you can motivate other people, and have the confidence as well that understands that, to say, this is who I am, this is how I do things here. And actually, if that's not what you are looking for, that's okay. There's other coaches out there that can help you. And in fact, I know a really good person that might be a good fit for you. Give her a call. Give him a call. Maybe we can work together. Maybe I can do this bit for you really well, and Steve can do that bit for you really well.
Yeah.
That comes from confidence, Steve. And I think here at the basis of this, there are some staple ingredients. We use the DISC profile, DISC. There's also things like the piano players, piano pushers analogy that we take you through on some of our content. And then there's the kind of the Myers-Briggs and the personality profiles in addition to that. So, there is no right answer to this. You've already got the right answer. You just need to have the confidence to show what that is and with people on that basis. And I think that's really what we're getting at with coaching yourself before you're coaching others, aren't we?
Yeah, for me, it's always about shining a light in the dark place, and I think this is where a lot of people struggle. And again, I understand
today in the corner. I need a light in the corner. Keeps going dark.
So exactly that. There's an analogy for life, right? Yeah. And I think ultimately, this is what we're saying when you're coaching yourself. Is it's not just about writing a program and take yourself into the gym. It's shining a light in the dark place in terms of what makes you tick. What are your bias? Why do you think the way that you do? Was it something that you picked up from childhood? Is it something that another coach had a really profound impact on you? All of these things, and ultimately, it comes back to shine a light in the dark place. Get an understanding of what makes you tick and what makes you unique. So then you can be really powerful and adaptable. And finish on the last bit is the perfect analogy for coaching in life. And it's that quote by Bruce Lee, and it's where he talks about be water, my friend. So water it's formless. You put it into a cup, it becomes a cup. If you put it into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. That's coaching, but it's understanding first and foremost what you are, what makes you your default. And then you can start to become adaptable. You can't be adaptable if you don't know what the base is, right? It's like training. If somebody's got a really narrow set of skills in terms of movement competencies and movement abilities, and you just focus on the performance aspect, then their performance is going to be limited. If you don't understand and get a grasp of yourself and what makes you tick and what makes you unique, your coaching ability is going to be limited. Typically, when the proverbial hits the fan, right? Because when everything's going well, you go with the flow and everything else. That when times get hard, you start to think, I can't handle this. How do I do this? How do I do that? So that is where coaching yourself is absolutely crucial for when the times get a bit rough, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So guys, on that again, we've got a great offer on, and this course. It was 2016, 2017. We're around about that, Brendan, when you developed it. It's the It Starts With You course. Now, it's not the bundle. This is actually a course which takes you step by step and takes you through 4 different pillars in terms of mastering yourself. So the first pillar, we've got self-mastery. Then we've got career mastery, business mastery, and impact mastery. Okay, and the It Starts With You course is all about breaking down these pillars to find out what makes you tick, what makes you unique, what makes you do what you do, what is your default, and then it allows you to understand these in a really profound, deep way, which then allows you to build, well, what does my career look like? What do I want it to look like? And once you know what your career looks like, then you know what your business wants to look like. When you build your business, then you know what impact you're going to make off the back of it. And so, guys, if you're thinking at the moment, right, I need to shine a light on the dark place, how do I do it? Then jump on the It Starts With You course. You know, I think it's going out at one of the lowest price points we've ever put it out at. So it's well worth the investment and some great resources. But Brendan, I wanted to ask you, like, what made you develop that course, mate? Where did that come about?
Yeah, it's a really good question, that, and it's one of those. It's like if you're listening to this, you're probably either just about had enough of me and Steve at this point, and you're kind of like, yeah, I get it, but that's enough. Or, and that's okay, because it's not for you right now, you know. But it's easy to be distracted by the sexy stuff, and, you know, learn another Olympic lift or learn another periodized model. But I do believe that when you talk about longevity, and really what motivates me to this day is giving people longevity in this industry, giving people tools that they can thrive long term, not just right now, but in 15 or 20 years. And I think that over the course of that time, people either burn out in a short period of time, they either burn out and leave the industry, or they start to embrace this stuff that we're talking about here. And I think so 2017, 2018, I'd had 12 years in performance sport in different angles and personal training, and had been forced to brutally address everything in this course, from what am I here for, where am I trying to get to, why are certain things not going as I want them to, how do I fix that, how do I get career longevity. And when I wrote this course and developed this program, and we've tweaked it since, you know, I'd had 12 to 15 years. I'd had a level of longevity in this sector. And it's the reflections of what is critical here. It's not the next periodized model. It's actually, what is it that you're trying to do? How do you make your impact? Because you will burn out and you will get pissed off and fed up and so on, maybe even leave the industry, if you do not address these key questions. So as I say this to you now, I kind of think it's either not for you and you're not ready, and that's fine, or you need to answer these questions and get through the other side of this, and you will come out, I guarantee you will come out of this program a much more well-informed, motivated individual, and you'll have learned some stuff as well. And so I think the key point is, if you want longevity, if you want to make a long, fruitful, enjoyable career out of the coaching industry, then this is the course for you. Even if you just turn over a few stones and find one or two things underneath them, that's okay. But there's a very good chance you might actually get some really good transformational thinking from it as well, Steve.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful thing, guys. And like I say, it's on our CPD sale this weekend, so make sure that you really do check that out because it's a really powerful product. And for the time that it'll take you to go through the investment that it'll take, it will see you hang around in the business for in the strength and conditioning, the coaching business space for many years to come. And I don't say that lightly because, there's lots of great coaches that end up leaving it because they do get burnt out, because they don't shine a light in a dark place, which it starts with you do. So go out there, guys, grab it. Make sure you check out Youth Training with Nick Ward as well. But on that, mate, I think we'll call it there. There's some great stuff. But guys, as always, get your questions in. We are here to serve you guys. We are here to help you develop and grow to become the coaches that you want to become. So if you want to drop some questions to us, then just drop them in the comment section and we'll get to them. But Brendan, been a pleasure as always, mate. Have a good weekend, mate. And we'll catch up again very, very soon.